Okay, so so what we're going to do is talk through, we have a help desk, and we will at the end of each of these presentations give you the number to the help desk, and they can assist with many of these logins. But as you yourself are linked to your company, if you want to link another person, you need to have them go on and create their own personal account. And then once they've done that, then you are able to link them to your company. Or you can call the department and we can do that linking once they have their PIN number. We're not going to go through that process very in depth today. However, if you do find that we need to do that, again, we'll work through the help desk on that. So again, we had most of you create your individual ANA logins already. ANA is a centralized state of Iowa login system that's used across many platforms outside the Department of Public Health, Department of Transportation, within state employees, employment login. So it's very possible that you already have an account. So if you try to get in through the ANA system, if it tells you you already have an account, then the statewide system needs to help figure out who that is, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. So to get to the Amanda system, there's a couple different ways. We have a regulatory programs page specifically for the lead program, and the training providers, and these links to these instructions and a recording of this video will be placed on that regulatory programs page. So as you go forward and want to review this again or look at the slides again, you can go to the regulatory programs page and see that. If you want to get to the portal itself directly, go to dphregprograms.iowa.gov, and that will bring up our actual portal to access the system from the public side. So this is what the portal page looks like for the most part. There's several things that you can do on our portal page. There's a public search. So you can search for licensees from the various modalities that are in the system. You can sign in, or you can do new user registration. So if you already have an account, you just sign in. If you have not yet created an account, you do new user registration. When you do new user registration or click sign in, it takes you to this ANA page. This is the Enterprise ANA system that I was referencing before. That is a centralized state of Iowa-wide system. It's a lot of times you have an @Iowa ID, but sometimes it can be your email address and password. You may have used this account, and your students may run into this too when they're trying to create their accounts, that it'll tell them they already have an account. It could be from other systems they have used throughout the state government. And so the best thing to do is to either do forgot password up at the top here, or forgot ID. And there's also in another page or two a couple of numbers and emails that you can use to try to get an actual physical person to assist if those two items don't work. So creating a new ANA account, again, it's used by a lot of state agencies. There are detailed instructions found online at the ANA website. You have to have a valid email address, because when you start to create the account, it's going to send you an email to verify your identity, that you are a person. And they have certain standards for user ID, ID name, and password configuration. After you've successfully created a username and password, then you will get that email that says, please click here to complete the rest of the requirements. I think it has you set up some security questions so that you can reset your password by answering security questions. And all of that is, again, managed by the State of Iowa platform at the Office of Information Officer Department. Once you've completed, then you can log in and make sure you secure that login information so that you have it for the next time you log in, because every time you log into the Amanda system, you will be routed to log in through ANA. If you're locked out of your ANA account, we cannot necessarily reset or get you your forgotten password. So you do have to contact the DAS, Department of Administrative Services, OCIO help desk. There are a couple of numbers listed there, and you should be at your computer with internet and email access, because if they do reset your system, you may get that email to reset your ID or password. Our help desk can help a little bit. And so at the end, the phone number that we give you that starts with 855 can assist slightly, but they may end up transferring you over to the ANA system if they are unable to get things reset. So once you have actually gotten through the ANA system, then your login has been validated and you'll be linked to an account in the actual Amanda system. If your people record already exists because you hold a license with one of the other programs, or you have been manually entered by staff here, when you enter in your social security number and your date of birth, the Amanda system will find your record and link your ANA ID to that account. The social security number is encrypted. There is never a time that anyone here at the department or the public can see your social security number. And being linked to a company does not link your personal information under the company. It just creates a relationship as a membership. So this is this first link between the ANA account and the Amanda system happens just the first time. Once your ANA account is linked, you will not see this page when you log in. Once you log in, you will get to a My Profile page, and you can see on this page that this front page is going to be your name, your date of birth, your email address, and your address details. Additional addresses can be added, sorry about that, down in this link right here. And then you can see that you have memberships that your personal account is associated with, and in this case, it's called Van Horn Test Facility. Another key part of this page is that there's a PIN number up here. This PIN number is now your number to identify who you are in the system. So if you call into our help desk, they may ask you for your PIN number so that we can more quickly look up your ID. Also, when you're being linked to a company, it is helpful to have this PIN number so that you can more quickly try to make sure that we have the right person being linked. So if you log in and you don't see your training program that you should have access to, you'll need to send an email to Kane and indicate that you are needing access to the training programs page. Again, the person that's linked to the program can do this, and again, we will give additional training if and when this needs to occur. But the main thing is, if you do not see your training program listed over here, we will need to do something to link you to the company before you'll be able to proceed and do any of the steps that we're going to talk about here. So once you see your membership to your correct facility over here, you click and highlight this facility, and you'll click Continue. If you click Continue without highlighting the facility, you will move forward through the individual items, and you will not see the choices that I'm going to be showing here. When you get to the next page, this is called your My Programs page, and I can see that I'm working on behalf of this test facility. So this would be your name and then dash your training program name. And that's how I can tell that I'm operating under the, or as on behalf of my company. If I only saw my PIN number up there, then I would know that I'm only operating under myself. So all of you, when you log in, when you get to My Programs page, will see an education facility because we've created all of your education facilities already. And you'll be able to see that you're active and when it was issued, an expiration date. The key field that you need to know about is this Details button right here. You'll click on Details, and it will take you to a page that shows all of the details about your training program. You will have a course request for each of the courses that you are allowed to train for. So you will have several courses listed here. And right now they will just say course request. We are working to make it be more descriptive so you can tell which course is which on this front page, but I'm going to show you in a minute how you can tell which one is which. They also stay in the same order. So once you know that the first one is your initial Lead Test Renovator course, then you know that the first one is that. Again, we will work toward getting more details out front here, but right now, this is what it will look like. So what you would do is click on the actual words of course request, and then you'll hit continue. Actually, it will open up another page. There is no continue button. And it will actually open up the course that you just selected. And then you will click, each of these are expandable. So as you click on each of these sections, they will expand and show you the details that are inside. I'm going to show you a couple of them that are most pertinent. Course information, this is how you'll know which one it is. And so they will be all pre-populated for you based off of what you are able to provide and what you've been approved for. Course instructors is another important tab. This is where you can log all of the instructors that you are, that will be giving this course. Again, at the course level, this course could be given many times. So if you have 4 different instructors who might give the course separately, you'd want to list all 4 instructors here, and then on each session you will be able to indicate which of these instructors are giving that particular session of this course. Again, I'm not going to speak too much to the instructors and what the requirements for logging this in is. If there are questions or other guidance from the program, they can give a little bit more of that. But I just want you to know that there is a place here to add course instructors. And basically when you expand this section, it will be blank, and you would click add, and it will insert the row. And you have to fill in all pink areas on the row. If you hit save and some of the pink fields are not filled, it will tell you that those pink fields need to be filled. So again, that's what this page is telling you. If you try to hit save, this is what you'll see, field is required. And you can just scroll over until you get all of them filled. And then you can continue to add, fill them in, save, add, fill them in, and save. It's a good idea not to add a bunch of things in here and then hit save. I think there's a 10-row maximum. And if something would happen on the system and it would glitch in the middle of entering some in, you may have 5 rows in and then lose those 5 rows that you put in. So we recommend hitting add, filling in the details, and then hitting save after each row entry. So continue the process. Once you've done that, you can just go back. And then one other side note, if for some reason you cannot delete, we don't have the ability for you to delete a row on the portal, but if you want to delete an instructor, you would click this remove through web box, and then the next time you log in, that row will be gone from your view, but we will still be able to see it on our side. Course details is so both of those first 2 that I just showed you are kind of the overarching for course information and course setup. This course details section is actually where the sessions for each of the courses that you're going to give throughout the year will be logged. And so every time you give this course, you will click add, it will insert a row, and then you will have all of the various fields to fill out. It goes through course start date, course end date, registration date, start time, end time. Again, if you happen to put a row in, hit save and go, oops, that was wrong, you can click this remove through web and it will disappear from your list. We can restore it if you decide that, oops, I didn't mean to remove it. You will continue to put these in for each time you give the course. So again, continue to scroll to the right, keep filling in pink boxes until you're done. One key one in that isn't pink is that a course address is required. So once you've put the address in, you type it in one time. After you've done that, then it will be available in a drop-down over here. So if you have an address that you routinely give a course in, once you've typed it in the first time, every time you add a session, it will be available in a drop-down for you instead of having to type it over and over and over again. And then, again, as I was saying, I don't have the screenshot to show it. If we have more questions, I can log into the system and show it. As you scroll to the right, there is a place where you can choose the instructor for this particular session. And again, any additional questions that you have, the login, as I said, ANA is the primary place to get those questions and assistance taken care of. But we also have a help desk here in our division, and the number and the email address are located here, and they are very versed in assisting people in getting through the portal. So that's how you would add a session. So really, the only pieces that you guys have to do, because we've built most of everything else, is to go to the course details. Well, go to the instructors and add your instructors, and then go to course details and continue to add throughout the year as you give the courses.
So, hey, this is just a quick clarification. So they put the dates in. The system will not allow a date that's not 7 days. Is that accurate?
Whatever your rules are.
Yep. So we have a 7-day notification, and so as long as you give the notification and it's within 7 days, it will allow that to happen. If you don't have the required 7-day notice, it will not allow you to put that information in there. It will reject it. So
this is the way they're notifying you, is by putting this row in.
Yeah, this is how you notify us of a training course. How you've been doing it for email and fax for many years.
Okay, so I'm going to move to the next one. If there's any burning questions, feel free to chime in. But like I said, I'm going to move to the next, and then hopefully by the time we get to the end of all of these, then we will it will all kind of come together. Okay, so the next step is rostering students to your program. So with the Amanda system, what we have to do is everyone, like we explained before, everyone has a people record, and the people record that your student has needs to be associated with your company. This is not the same sort of association that you'll have as an administrator of your company. That's called a membership, and that gives you the ability to work on your company's behalf through the system and do these items. When you are rostering a student, basically you're just creating a different link between your training program and the student so that you can record, we can see that they attended your course, and you can record whether or not they passed or failed and their score and those sorts of things. So all this step in this section is doing is finding the student in the system and linking them to your facility. So again, you will sign in. These fields are going to look the same. They're repeated, so in case you need to see one set of instructions and not the other, they're all in here. So again, you're logging in through ANA. Again, you're going to see that you have a facility. You're going to highlight the facility and click continue, and then click on details on the My Programs page. And again, you will come to the overall page that shows the details of your training program. This time though, instead of clicking on the course request, which is where you put your sessions, you're going to be clicking on Add Certification. This Add Certification section does a lot of things, and right now we are just talking about using this box right here that says Roster Attendees. We'll be using the other two boxes in future training sections as we walk through the additional steps. But right now we will just be using this box up here. So again, what you're doing is you're finding that people record for that student and attaching it to your training program. This is where that PIN number comes in handy. If you students know that once they've created their account, that PIN number is up in the upper right-hand corner that I had showed earlier, and I can show again here, right here. If they know to write that number down and they can give that number to you, their name will pop up immediately. If you know their first name and last name, sometimes the spellings can be different. There is a wild card that you can use, which is a %sign. So if you don't know the true spelling of their name, but you know it starts with an A, you can put A with a %sign. It'll bring up every name that starts with A. So again, the more and it's every people record in the Amanda system. So they may or may not even be lead professionals or students of yours. So being more specific in the name is beneficial to make sure that your list is not super long.
Nice. And this is Kane. So I would recommend, as you are taking on students and they're creating their people records, is that you, as training providers, require them to give you your PIN and other pertinent information to make this rostering process much easier for yourself. So I think that's how we kind of envision that piece of it working.
Okay. So what you do is put in the PIN or the name. Again, I searched my name and get the identifier. You select the box for the person that it is. Sorry about that. And then you click on Roster People Records. It will ask, are you sure that you want to roster the person that you selected? Again, this is a different page, so it doesn't flow with the same name, obviously, but what it's going to do is whatever name you have checked, it's going to ask, is that the one you want to roster? And you say, okay, if it's the right person. And then you continue doing that for all the students that you want to associate with your training program. Once you've completed that, you won't see a list of names populating on this page. You won't see anything happening on this page besides the confirmation of, are you sure that you want to add this person? And you say, okay. Once you're done adding all of the people, then you're going to click back to program details. And then you're going to see a list of all of the attendees that you added on this main page. Now, this main page starts to get a really long list as you get more and more students through your program. We are working on a way to move this to the bottom of the page so that you don't have to scroll through these students every time you come in. However, this is where they will be for now. And once they're listed here, they are now associated with your program, and you will be able to use them to use these people records to both tell the program staff here that they've passed or failed the course, as well as upload their photo. You go through the same instructions of rostering people, but when we go through those in the next segment, it is this process that we are doing. So you only have to do this process one time per student. Further, if they come to your course as an initial course, and then 3 years later come, or however long later, to your course again to do the refresher course, you don't have to add their people record in again because they're already associated with your training program. Again, additional questions can go to the help desk at this number, and then if for some reason it's program specific questions, they will make sure to get you to the right people in the lead program. Any additional things for this section?
Not this section.
Okay. Okay, so the next one is documenting a student's completion of the course. So now you've linked the student record, the student's people record to your course, and now you need to document the completion of the course. So again, you're going to sign in. These steps are all going to look familiar again through the ANA login. You're going to see your test or your facility in the membership. You're going to highlight it and hit continue, and then you're going to click on details. Again, we're going to go to add certification to be able to do this notification. When you do this, we're going to be using this section here as well as the certification section at the bottom. You've already done everything you need to do in this box, so that right now this box does not have a need to be used. So what you're going to do is you're going to select, and you can only do course results for one at a time. So you'll check the box for the course that you are actually going to be putting student records in for. And then you're going to add attendee. When you click add attendee, it inserts a row, and you'll have a drop down that will list all of the attendees that you have to choose from. This list is populated by the work that we just did in the last segment to roster those students to your facility. If you have not done the rostering step, you will not find their name in this drop-down list. So if you can't find them, you'll need to go back and do this rostering of attendees to be able to add them to your record, and then they should populate down here. You should also see that because of what you have selected up top, it should populate the course that you are rostering them to. So you want to just double check that it's populating the right course, that you have the right course selected up here for the person that you're actually putting the score in for. So the attendee, again, is the drop-down for all the people you've linked to your company. The exam date is going to be the last day of the course. Again, as we have this common system across many different programs, we have a limited number of fields that need to do the same job. So we can't call them what's meaningful for every program. And so right now, this is called an exam date. So without there being a specific exam that we're referencing to, this just needs to be the last date of the session that you gave. And that way we can cross-reference this date with those dates that you put in on the first module that we talked through for the course session end date. And that's how we can link the two. The score, I believe the staff wants this to be in a percentage. So if you put 100 in here, that means it's 100%. If you put 70 in here, that means they got 70%. You got in here, they got 60%.
And as a reminder, we don't round up for, say it was 79.5. That's a score of 79, not an 80%.
And then the result is your choice as well, and you'll have choices of attended, not attended, pass, fail. But in this course, in this module, you need to just use pass or fail. If you register pass, the system will log that they have successfully taken the course. If you select fail, it will log that they have not successfully taken the course. And it will not auto-calculate anything based off of the score. It will only base off of what you put in as a result. And you do have to fill in all 4 of these fields in order to proceed. And once you've filled everything out, you can hit save. And then you continue this for all of the various people and or courses. But again, you'd have to change your check mark to do the refresher course to add the refresher course, but they all happen down in here. Once you've done all of your rows and you've saved everyone, you can go back to program detail and you're back to your main page. And one last thing it'll do when you hit save, it'll say, are you really sure you want to save them all? You say okay, and then you are done with the designation of whether they've passed or failed. So again, help desk can also assist with this, but if there are specific questions about what types of data need to be put in or how to utilize the data, they will direct you to program staff. So the 4th module is the photo upload that is required so that that photograph can be used on the license document that's sent out by the department. So again, you're going to log in. These are all those familiar pages of logging in through ANA. You're going to select your facility and hit continue. And then you're going to hit details and you're going to be on your main page. Again, you're going to go to the add certification tab. So you can kind of tell that once you come up here and put your sessions into the proper course, really your main functions that occur during this happen down in this add certification section. So again, you're going to see whatever courses you are allowed to provide, and you're going to select one of them. And if you have not already rostered your person, you're going to need to roster that person in order to have them selectable down here. And this photo section is in addition to the section we just looked at where you were entering their score. So you will see the photo section first, and then below that you'll see the certification section that we were just looking at. So again, if you've already rostered them because you've already put their score in, you don't need to do this step again. But if you haven't done the putting the score in yet and you have not rostered them, which is the module 2 that we went through, then you will need to do that. So you can only do one photo upload at a time. So you will need to add a new photo, select who it's for, browse for it, and it will link to the system, and then you will click upload. If you try to add new photos before you've saved and uploaded, it will give you an error. So basically what you do is you have the drop down. Again, they're not going to show in here unless you have done the rostering and linked them to your training program previously. So you will select whoever it is, and then you will browse your computer, and this is just like linking any other web service that you are going to upload a file to. You browse, it will open your Explorer on your desktop, and you can navigate to where that photo is saved. Click on it, and then click upload, and it will come into our Amanda system and be saved for the staff to access for the documents that we will create once they are approved for licensure. And then you continue to repeat this process as you need to. You are done. So you can go back to program detail, you can log off, whatever you want to do when you are done adding those photos. So those are the 4 kind of sections that we went through. So we talked about first how to add sessions to an existing course. Number 2 was how to link your students to your training program records so that you can do steps 3 and 4. Module 3 was how to document that the student passed a certification course or failed. And module 4 was how to upload the student photo. The final thing that we're going to go through, so those are all of the things that you as a training provider will be working on. This last module here are the instructions that new users will see, which all of you followed your individual accounts to be able to get the PIN number to get linked, unless you automatically had already created your personal account. So some of you may have gone through this, some of you may not have. But this creating an account is the same across all of the Amanda programs, and it is a universal way that an individual needs to create their account in order to be linked to a facility, to apply for an individual license, or to be linked to a facility as a student. What they will do is they will create their account, again, through new user registration. They will again also be taken to the ANA login, just like you are personally when you're trying to get into your company. This is what the registration page looks like if they don't have an ANA account. If they put their information in here and it tells them they already have an ANA account, then they will be directed to contact the help desk for assistance in either recovering their password or user ID if they don't know what it is. And then it will send the email to the email address that's provided if you're truly doing a new account, and then you will follow directions in that email. This is what the email looks like. It takes you to a link that then you follow the instructions for. You're asked some security questions so that if you need to reset your system password or your user ID in the future, they can validate who you are. Create your password. So once you've done that, that's the process for a brand new user in the ANA system. And again, once you have your ANA account, you'd be logged in, and it will ask for your social security number and your date of birth. If it finds a record that matches those 2 items, it will take you to your account. If it does not find you, and again, we're talking about building a brand new account, then it will take you to the My Profile page which is back here. But instead of it being populated, will be blank, and you will have the opportunity to fill it out and provide all the details so that once you log in again, it will not ask you for those personal identifiers again. So that is what the students will need to do in order for you to be able to do Module 2, to link them to your account and to say whether or not they have a course pass or fail, as well as uploading the photo. If for some reason a student is not able to create this account, there may be ways that we can get the information to the department to be able to create the account. They may already have an account as well if their license has been added to the system as the plumbing, or as the lead group is loading the information as we speak for existing licensees.
So I think we have all the information for anybody that would take a refresher. So this last process where the student creates their account, again, I strongly recommend, how I think this is going to work the best, is if you guys make it a prerequisite that before taking the course that they already have this completed ahead of time. And there's help desk numbers that can help students through this to create an account. It's fairly easy. I think if you tried to do it all during the course, it would get pretty complicated. And so I, again, strongly advise you take care of this as kind of a prerequisite to the course so it goes much more smoothly.
So that's all of the training modules that I have for all of the steps. I guess, do you guys have any business practice around any of this or any questions?
One question I know that is bound to come up here is that, so many times the providers will do a 24-hour worker course, lead abatement worker course, in conjunction with a 40-hour abatement contractor course. And so if we could walk through how to do that, how to notify for those courses in that instance, I think would be helpful.
So we're going to use this page here, I think.
And the same thing goes for the inspector course. The first 20 hours is the sampling technician portion of it, where some students may drop out and not take the rest of the week, or 40 hours.
Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to make sure I have the right slides that will be most beneficial. So hold on just for 1 second. I think this is the slide we want to use, but let me just double check. Okay, so we have this, I think this is going to be the best slide for this. So, what Kane is alluding to is the times when you give a 40-hour course, but not everyone stays for the full 40 hours. They're doing a subset of the course that's given in conjunction together. And so there will be two options for, you will have the 40-hour course available, and then the 24-hour course.
It varies from,
okay.
Yeah, so it could go either scenario.
Okay,
yep.
So, and then you would have the smaller, or the lower level course that people only need to stay for a portion of the full week. So what you would just need to do is to make sure the people that left after the first part of the course are tagged with just the shorter course, and the people that stayed for the 40-hour course are tagged for the 40-hour course. For the sessions, you would need to log those sessions under both of those courses. So when we're logging sessions, which is in item number 1, you would have to go into the course for the 40-hour course and add a row for the course start date of September 5th through September 9th or whatever. And then you would have to go back out and select the other course. So this one, let's say, is the 40-hour one. You would go back out and select the other course then, and also put in September 5th through September 7th instead of the 9th. Because that part of the course, even though you're giving it together, it needs to be recorded as two separate sessions, because you're going to be rostering students to those sessions separately so that they get credit for the amount of time they were actually there and which course they really did take.
And I think that's consistent with what everybody's doing now in terms of course notification.
Are there any other questions here or on the phone?
I'll just say a couple things as I was listening here. So just so everybody's clear, all of the certification documents are coming electronically now. And so you might get that question out there. We're not issuing the certifications with the cards anymore like we're used to. And so the document for certification is coming electronically with the idea that folks can save that document to an electronic device or print it themselves as proof of their certification. So I know that's kind of a big change from what everybody's used to. And then can you explain maybe what Amanda runs best in terms of a browser? I know it works back office differently, so maybe.
Yeah, I think right now the portal does work on almost all of the browsers fairly readily. For a while there, Chrome and Firefox were the two that worked the best. Once in a while, when IE does an update, it can throw some wrinkles in some of the fields, but I think for the most part, in the steps that we're asking you guys to follow, we should be okay with any of the three main browsers of Firefox, Chrome, or IE.
I have a question. This is Rosani. How about those students who definitely would prefer not to use electronic way to be rostered? Just a manual. Would there be any option for them?
The students will have to be electronically assigned to the system regardless of whether it's entered by program staff here or they do it via the portal. They will be in the Amanda system and will need to be electronically assigned to the training program.
I guess I needed to be more specific about if our program will be able to assist a little bit with that in case that happens.
Well, for somebody that just does not any kind of electronic communication and doesn't have an email address, then we'll have to do some manual pushes, and then we'll have to manually enter those people that don't do that into Amanda and be able to create that PIN number in order for the provider to be able to roster that. So there'll have to be some mechanism to go back and forth. And that's probably via secure mail, which, that's how we're doing the course reporting now. But I think that's probably the way we'll have to communicate, either that or via a telephone or something like that, a call to get those people records created so that you'll be able to then roster those students into Amanda. Yeah. So I think we're ready for any and all questions. I don't know. Hopefully we're ready for any and all questions based on what you've seen. So if there are questions, then we'll open it up. There's got to be at least one question.
There's a couple chat questions.
Oh, a couple chat questions. Okay.
How does the payment billing process work? Who pays?
Are we talking are you talking about how a training provider would renew, or how does, for a payment for an individual certification? So if an individual certification, I'm assuming that's probably what you mean, then when they log in and renew their certification, they will have, if we did our rostering correctly, that course will show up and they will be able to renew their certification. And then it's like many other websites, you'll be taken to a page where you put in your credit card information or electronic check information, and then you finish the process that way. And then the certification, once the payment is complete, there's a batch that runs every night, and so that electronic certification for the individual will then show up in their inbox the following morning. So that's how the certifications that, for anyone with a valid email address, those are going out electronically, and that's how that works. If they're manual, it's more of a manual print process that takes probably a few weeks to get stuff printed and mailed out from here. Is that the question?
What if the training provider would like to pay instead of the student?
Well, are there any certain? Then those, you would have to do each individual payment. There's no mechanism, I don't believe, to pay for multiple students in one electronic transaction. So if you wanted to pay electronically for each of those individual certifications, those are all separate transactions.
Or write a check with a reference to which one you're paying.
You could write a check and
mail
send
that
it
to us.
in, but that would be a longer process and a more manual process.
So I have a question. When does all this go into effect?
But I would like to start, the portal is on and all of this is ready. So my expectation is that we would begin this immediately.
As soon as we have all the records completely built and let them know that.
Yeah, and so there may be some, as you get into your accounts and if there's something that needs adjusted, we can get through that process. In terms of fostering students, I would like to get that started immediately.
So we will use this for course notification from here on out?
Yes.
And then if there are some students that are no-shows, how do we cancel this?
So you can, if they didn't ever make an account, then they just would not be in the system at all. If they have an account, you can add them just like you would give them a pass or fail, but I think there's one called no-show or not attended or something like that. You could select that choice if that's something you guys want.
Mm-hmm. And if they created their own account and didn't show up, then they would just have an account and nothing associated with it.
Right.
And so then we're not penalized. And then we're not penalized for not sending in the cancellation?
Yeah, that is part of the rules, is the 24-hour cancellation if a course doesn't take place, like if there's not enough students. So I assume there's a mechanism to go in and delete a course once they've added it.
Yeah, so that would be the session, and so hold on, I guess. So that would be here on the course request. When you go in there and we showed how to add the sessions under course details. But again, if you want to remove the course, you could remove it there.
They have rights.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you would click this remove through web, and then they would see that checkbox show up on our end. And they'd be able to see that that happened 24 hours before the start date of the course.
So if I've notified for a course in October, do I have to go back, and I did it the old-fashioned way, do I have to go back in and re-notify it on this Amanda system now?
Well, the session probably will not be in here because I don't think we're going back and putting all the sessions in. We're just putting the courses in. So I don't know how far back or if you're going to do any of the forward courses that you know about, or how you want to do that overlap.
So I should just sign in and see if it's there, and if it's not, just go ahead and put it in.
Yeah, we were just talking through it here. So I think we should just start notifying of courses just going forward as of right now. I don't think, as I think about it right now, that there's a big advantage to going back and doing a bunch of the notifications that you've already sent us. You should still be able to roster the student for the courses that you've already notified us for, regardless of whether or not you send us the course notification in Amanda. So I think just going forward will be fine. And there'll be a few months there where, you know, we had the paper copies and then some are in Amanda, but we'll get past that fairly quickly, I think.
Yeah, so if you log in to that October course and it's 2 days before and you need to cancel the course, and you log into Amanda, you don't see that October session in there, then you'll just have to send an email or whatever the old way was to the department. But if you log into Amanda and you see that session there, then you just check that box. So
Okay.
for a little while, there will be a little bit of a back and forth. Oh, that was the same question.
What other questions are out there?
Will these slideshows be available to view somewhere, or would it be possible to email them? Yes, we will put them up on the website. That is back here. And I probably need to stop share for a minute. Reshare. So the website that we gave back here. This regulatory programs page. The other thing you can do is you can Google IDPH regulatory programs, and it will bring up the various pages that they're one of the first things that pop up. And on our website, you can go to licensing under the IDPH licensing tab for our webpage.
So once we get things posted to the website, we'll just send we'll have Rasani send a message with a link to that webpage so everybody can see where that's at.
How are the individuals that have to take the class going to be notified that all of this is happening? Do they get an email? Are you guys sending a letter? Are we supposed to tell them when they register?
People that are taking refresher courses should generally be aware of it because of the correspondence that comes from our office, whether it's the listserv or their renewal letters. And so we've been talking about it for a while. New people that take initial courses, they probably won't know too much of this. And so we'll have to rely on the training providers to explain how some of this process works.
Kay, do you see that when a student pops up to sign up for a course with the provider educates them about creating their own account?
Yes, I think that's how things are going to work the best. If that's, like I said, there's kind of a prerequisite when they inquiry about signing up for a course, that part of this is creating that people record so that the rest of it can take place.
What if a student comes through class, they don't have their record created, they say, I'm going to have my wife do it when I get home, forgets to tell his wife, or she just doesn't do it, and they never make a record in the system? How do we report that they've been to class? Do we just have to keep logging?
Well, yeah, I mean, some of that is what I think talked a little bit about earlier, is that somehow in order for you to roster that individual, either they're going to have to make the people record, or we're going to have to manually create it here. And so, you know, we've kind of walked through that process a little bit, but I think it's going to be, if they just don't do it, then we're going to have to create it here in the back office and let you know when it's created, and then you'll be able to roster that particular student.
But I think the key is that as a training provider, you're going to need to have the minimum amount of information to create the record, which is what you're already gathering from the people already, and you're sending by G-Secure Mail, right?
Yeah.
So you would still collect that information from the people. So in this new world, you can either give them the link or have them give you a PIN, and you know they've provided that information already, or you take the information from them like you are now and potentially send it to the department if they don't make their account.
But how long do we wait before we would do that? I mean, if I come through class and I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't create the account because, I don't know, I think it's all dumb and I'm not going to do this. When do I, as a trainer, know, okay, it's been 30 days and Joe Smith hasn't created an account yet, and now I send this information to you? Do we wait 45 days?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just need to correspond with this on those particular issues. Ultimately, if they never do anything on their end, they'll never get a certification. So they inherently probably have some motivation to take the steps that they need to take in order to get certified. And so if somebody just really drops off, then they'll never get certified. And of course, if if it's on them to get some information, we're not going to penalize you as a training provider for them not doing something.
Right. So if I understood earlier correctly, we won't be printing out completion certificates for them any longer. They will have to go in through Amanda and print out their own proof of taking.
No, you'll still have completion certificates that you would issue. I think that piece of it is still in the rule. What I've been saying is that the documents that say they are certified with the state will come electronically, and we do that. We do that now, and you do training certificates now also.
Right.
So that part of it will remain unchanged.
All right.
They just don't have to provide it to us.
Right. You're not providing us a copy of the training certificate. Basically every piece of information that's on the training certificate, you're entering into Amanda, so there's not really a need to also submit the training certificate. And then things like training certificates and, if there was issues with that, that may come up as part of an annual audit that we do. Or not annual, but a routine audit that we do. Any other questions or just general thoughts?
Okay, one more question. When we send in, or when we enter our course notices, is it going to populate the online calendar, or is that going away?
The calendar's in progress, I think. So the thought is that, and it'll be part of a future enhancement in this system, but the calendar is going away, but will be in the future much more user-friendly. So people, the public, can find courses based on the information that you're entering in terms of course notifications into Amanda.
Thank you.
Yep. We're not quite there yet, and we'll stay in communication on when that functionality is available. And then one more thing while I'm thinking about it, the public search function, as we get through this transition, we're in the middle of it now from 1 year to 3 years, and get everybody to that 3-year cycle. We're in between two databases, so we really can't accurately come up with a list for the public that says, you know, all renovators or all inspectors. And so that's not going to be available until we're about a year from now. And so if people have questions about how to get a list, then they need to contact our office, or a question about whether somebody is certified. There is public search functionality in the public portal right now. And so if somebody is in Amanda, you can find them and tell whether or not they're certified or not. But not all of people that are certified are into Amanda yet. So that's kind of where we're at with the list that we generally provide also. So you can see up there that we've got Gary Bowen pulled up. He's a lead abatement contractor that we issued August 15th, and you can where his how far his certification goes out. So once people are into Amanda, all these individuals, you'll be able to see the same type of information for everybody. And you can pull up lists, like if you can sort it by like a lead safe renovator, for example, and come up with just lead safe renovators and do some narrowing that way.
Okay, how will this work for those students who probably be denied by the state get certification?
Well, anybody that we deny certification for, which isn't very many people, they would never make the list. So eventually there's also some discipline, and that would be part of so we'd have to take an official action to deny a certification, and once that's final, all of that is public. And so eventually that will be a part of this. So they won't show up on a list of certified people, they'll show up in a separate area under like a discipline or enforcement, whatever. I'm not sure what it's called when we get to it. Anybody else have anything before we wrap it up?
Okay.
We have plenty of time for questions.
Okay, just a question, because we're here in Omaha, and a lot of times we have people from obviously Nebraska. They want to get the reciprocal thing with Iowa. Do they go in again into the Amanda system, get themselves a PIN, and then we can put them into the system?
Yep. Yep, even through the reciprocal, even though they are getting reciprocal certification, they're basically their certification based on training from another jurisdiction. They still have to apply and get a license through our office, and so that's, you still need to do that. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You won't enter any Nebraska training in here. Only Iowa training. But individuals can come in to Amanda. They still have to create an account, and then they would provide documentation of that training. So you're not doing the training piece of it for if you're approved by EPA or Nebraska, but the student will provide that information.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything other than point them towards the Amanda system, because we're doing basically EPA training, and then every once in a while we have somebody that says, well, we want to do the Iowa reciprocal thing. So rather than give them the paperwork, which we've been doing in the past, we just point them to the Amanda. Right,
and there's actually a separate set of instructions on that same link that Angie showed earlier, where you're going to have this deck of slides, and there's also going to be instructions right there where people can follow and apply for certification via reciprocal route.
Okay.
There'll be instructions there for how to renew an existing certification, how to apply for a new certification. So pretty comprehensive list of directions. So here's what it looks like right now. So the reciprocal thing is toward the bottom, how to apply for initial certification based on existing certification from another jurisdiction.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
And then the information that we're just going through today will be posted down here.
Okay.
Any other final questions before we wrap things up?
Security system. That was a question that was provided before. How secure is through Amanda? You already explained something at the beginning.
So the system is ISO compliant. We have to get approval through the OCIO's office to implement any systems on our state system, as well as it being nestled in our server firewall here at the state. If there's other specific questions, I can try to address, but we meet all of the ISO compliance standards, as well as encryption, which requires encryption of personal identifying information.
All right, well, I don't hear too many more questions, so I think we should get going into this immediately. Thanks everybody for their time. I know it'll probably be a little bit of getting used to, but I think once you get the hang of it, it should go pretty smoothly for you. And overall, I think this whole electronic Amanda system is going to be much better for the individuals who are now getting certified for a 3-year period. We only have to deal with us you know, once every 3 years, and we're not touching all of these paper applications every single year and continually going down that road. So it will take some getting used to, but I think we're headed towards a better place in terms of efficiency. So unless there's any final questions or thoughts or comments, I just want to say thanks to everybody for taking the time out of their day and joining us. Last call, anything? All right, thanks everybody.
Leave meeting.